us begin with social entrepreneurship. And let's talk about this new report from the Schwab Foundation in collaboration with the World Economic Forum and a number of other players that looks at the impact of social entrepreneurship in Africa. About 2.8 million of them. Let's get into the stats very, very quickly. Generating about $9 billion in revenue, creating about 12 million jobs. 55% of them are women. 1 in 3 is youth under the age of 35. Francois Bonnici is the head of social innovation at the World Economic Forum. He also wears a second hat as a director of the Schwab Foundation. Francois, thank you so much for joining us. This report, can we talk about those numbers? Can you talk to us about the impact of social entrepreneurship and what it's doing in Africa?
Thank you so much, Rod. It's terrific to be here. It's an important opportunity to really highlight the role of enterprises that also have impact. Right now in the world, development aid has reduced by almost 2/3, and so it's really time for local sustainable models that actually work, that can help both grow, create jobs, as well as actually meet some of the needs around education, opportunity, livelihoods, and inclusion. So there's never been data on social entrepreneurship in Africa before. This is the first report, the State of Social Enterprise Africa, together with the African Union, Motsepe Foundation, SAP, and a few other important partners, local partners like Africa Forward, to collect data and actually get a sense of, well, what's happening. You mentioned some of the numbers, 2.18 million social enterprises, and your revenue figure is actually 10 times less than it actually is. It's 96 billion.
96?
Which is 3.2% of the GDP of Africa.
Thanks for the correction. That's huge.
What's important about that is this is all happening organically.
Yeah.
There are only 6 African countries that actually have policies that incentivize this, or funds, or regulations. And we know this. We're asking for jobs for young people. We're asking for jobs for women. 55% led by women, 1/3 led by young people who are more likely to employ other young people. This is a growth engine pathway, not the only one, but an important growth that there's been no investment into it. And so the potential for scale is significant if each of those enterprises had better investments, more opportunities, less or more regulation, depending on what's going to be enabling. And if each employed 3 more people, we would 3x what's actually happening.
Francois, so help clear this up for us. What would you say to folks that say governments are already doing this with social safety nets and some of their programs, and then corporates with CSR, corporate social responsibility, and some of those things they're doing? Is there a difference there?
Absolutely. I mean, of course, we need social safety nets, and I think that's for the parts of society that aren't able to access economic opportunity. The beauty of social enterprise is taking a business, a market, a private sector approach. So it's not dependent on charity. What it does need, though, is to be able to operate like a business when sometimes they can't get a commercial loan from a bank because they're saying, okay, you're working in a rural community, we don't really see the market there, but they're creating new markets. And I think social enterprises are working, particularly in Africa, on this intersection between the formal economy and the informal economy. We know the informal economy is a significant part of Africa's GDP and employment, but the capital, they can't tap into market capital. And so social enterprise is a really interesting role at this intersection, tapping into market capital, but then circulating that and creating opportunities in the informal sector.
For anyone watching this and says, okay, this is what I want to do, can you get a career out of this? Is it more about social good or less about financial incentive?
It's about both. And I think young people today in particular are interested in careers with purpose, but also where they can create livelihoods and progression and use their skills and be paid relatively well. And that exists now. We know that 30% of all students leaving business school want to go into this sector. There are great examples of Sululo Foundation and Sululo Enterprises in South Africa, bridging the digital divide. 90% of their classes are fully paid for by women, getting digital skills to enter the marketplace. We have health tech creating access for many countries in Nigeria. We also have Olivia, who won an award here for Pad Up Creations, providing menstrual pads in, I think, for 6 African countries. So just some incredible things that you would have thought previously may have been done by a charity, but much more scalable because they're able to tap into capital, they have a business approach, and they're actually interested in growth.
So if you're advising a government or a private company that says, Francois, I want to get into this, how do they key in to get this to scale this even more?
Yeah, so I think the report's a great place to start to know what's already happening in their country. We have country-level data as well. Then to look at, the African Union now has a 10-year strategy policy on the social and solidarity economy. So there are some kind of policy levers, which are the ones that could use. Private sector, actually, and for public as well, a big part of this is procurement, right? So if we can actually start to procure intentionally from enterprises led by women, enterprises led by young people, enterprises that are having an impact in their communities, there are massive budgets of procurement, right? And you could do that with more intentional enterprises than necessarily procuring that from another country, right, or from the usual standard kind of commercial players.
I want to ask you about the theme here at Davos, yep, the whole theme about the spirit of dialogue. What have you made of that theme this week?
Well, it's important for a number of reasons. First of all, it's the DNA of the World Economic Forum. It's the international organization for public-private cooperation. And of course, we're seeing growing geopolitical shifts in the world. We're seeing increasing polarization. So we felt now is the time to get people around the table to keep talking. Even if people don't always agree, Davos is the place to have those discussions and find the areas of common collaboration. No one's going to argue that we need to create more jobs in Africa, right? That we can all agree on that. Right. How we do that, looking at the different sectors, is it energy, is it healthcare? So I think it's finding the common areas of cooperation and at least understanding respectfully other points of view. And so we have, an amazing participation. I think the greatest participation ever in the annual meeting, 60 heads of state, 1,000 business leaders, the greatest delegation from the G7 countries, 6 of the 7G countries, and of course, the biggest delegation from the US.
Fantastic. So Francois Bonnici, head of at the World Economic Forum Social Innovation, also wearing the second hat as the director of the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for sharing this report with us. A very insightful conversation. We appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.
All right.